Today we are going to look at one important topic in terms of SQL called as subqueries. Okay. Now, if you are looking at this topic, okay, one thing we have to understand. So let me just open one yesterday's file so that we can correlate. Okay. So what is the meaning of subqueries? Let's try to understand. So yesterday we have gone through the primary key, foreign key concept. More than that, we have understood the concept of relationship across tables, how the relationship is established, how we have to correlate the data between the tables, and then how we have to understand the data. Okay, and what is the reason for having primary keys and foreign keys? All these questions and the answers we have understood. Now let's understand the concept of subqueries. What do you mean by subqueries? Okay, a very simple thing. I'll just explain this concept with a simple example. Okay, if I have a if I give a query like this, write a query to find out all the employee names working in department number 10. It's a straightforward condition. Okay, if it's a straightforward condition, it's very easy to solve this. How do you solve this? A very simple query. What are you going to do? Select ename from which table? EMP, where department number is equal to 10. Well and good, it's done. Now the same question I'm going to ask you in a different way. Okay, how am I going to ask you? Write a query to find out all the employee names working in Miller's department. So try to understand the difference between this question and this question. So every condition has three components: condition, column, operator, value. So here column I have given you properly, our value also I have given you properly, operator also it's quite obvious, it's equal to. So here every information is given to you in the query itself. But if you look at the second query, how am I doing it? Try to understand. I'm actually not giving you the question directly. I'm just giving you the question in an indirect fashion. To solve this question, how you have to solve it? You have to solve it by finding the Miller department first. Okay. Then what you have to do? You have to find out the respective employees. Once you have find out the Miller's department. So how do you solve this question? Try to understand. Okay, how are you going to solve this question? You are going to solve it like this. First, what you are going to do? You are going to say select ename from EMP where department number is equal to 10. First, sorry, my bad. Select a department number from EMP where ename is equal to Miller. So the moment I run this query, what is the result I'm going to get? The result I'm going to get is what? 10. Why am I getting 10? Because if you look at Miller, he is working in department number 10. So once I've got the output of this query, what I'm going to do? I found out the Miller's department, then I'm going to answer the final question. What is the final question? My final question is I want to find out all the employees who was working in Miller's department. Since we have found out Miller's department to be 10, we can write our final query. What is the final query? Select ename from EMP where department number is equal to 10. So try to understand to solve this question. Okay, I am writing one query to solve the second query. I am writing two queries. So why am I doing this? Because it's a direct condition. It's a direct condition. Whereas this, It's an indirect condition. It's a indirect condition. When I'm saying it's an indirect condition, what do I mean by that? The condition to you is given, okay, in an indirect fashion. First we have to resolve that indirect condition, then only we can write the main query. So this is where I am resolving the indirect condition. I am resolving the indirect condition, and this is my main query. My main query I am writing by taking the output of the first query. The output is 10, so this 10 is acting as the condition value. Got it? So instead of executing two queries every time, what they did is they came up with the concept of subqueries. What do you mean by subqueries? Very simple example. So we are combining both the queries. Okay, how will I combine both the queries? So I'll take the main query where department number is equal to 10. How did I get this 10? I got this 10 from the previous query. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to say select department number from EMP where ename is equal to Miller. And then I hope you have understood this. What am I doing? How am I getting this 10? 10 I've got this from this query. Okay, so what am I doing? Instead of writing 10, I'm putting it in a enclosed bracket. So what will happen? So these are called as what? Nested subqueries. What is it? Nested subquery. So in a nested subquery, we'll always have one main query and the condition query, or you can say it will have an outer query and an inner query. So what will the inner query do? First inner query will get executed. First this inner query will get executed. So what happens? This will get executed. Once this is executed, what will happen? One output will be generated. In our case, the output is what? 10. So 10 will be generated. Then what will happen? The outer query will start executing. So this is the outer query. This outer query will start executing. Okay. So whenever you are writing a subquery, the first intention you have to understand here is why you have to use subquery. Why we have to use subquery? When we have to use subquery, if there is a indirect condition, we have to use a subquery. Now every subquery will have one outer query and a inner query. Outer query and an inner query. So what will get executed first? What will get executed first? Inner query will get executed first. Executed first. And the next thing is what? One important note. What is it? Whenever you are writing a subquery, the inner query selection column should be matching with outer query condition column. Outer query condition column. So what I mean to say is, whenever you are writing a subquery, this is your outer query condition column. This is your inner query selection column. These two should always be matching. Matching in the sense, as I've told you in my keys concept, it is not the spelling, it's the content. For example, you cannot write where department number is equal to select star. You cannot write like that. Or you cannot say select ename. It doesn't make sense, right? Anyway, we are passing a value of a department number. So if we are passing a value of a department number, end of the day the query should give department number. When will a query give department number? Only when you select department number it is going to give. So this is one important note you have to keep reminding yourself whenever you are writing a subquery. So let us revise all the topics once again. So we, up till now, what we have done, we have studied all the types of queries, all the types of conditions, your compound conditions, multiple operators, multiple logical operators, all these things. Now what we are going one step further, here I am introducing subqueries. Among subqueries, I am introducing one concept called as nested subquery. When you are using, when we are going for a subquery, whenever there is a indirect condition, whenever there is an indirect condition, we go for a subquery. And first thing is, instead of writing two separate queries and executing, what am I doing? I'm nesting one query inside another query. Whenever you are nesting, we are going to get two types of queries. One is outer query and inner query. So when it is getting executed, the innermost query will get executed first, and then the outer query will get executed. Got it? Hopefully this understand. And one small note which everyone should keep in mind whenever you are writing a query, the inner query selection column should be always matching with the outer query condition column. Got it? Now let's try to look at one more example of a subquery so that we'll have better correct clarity on the concept. Okay. What is that example? Let me give you a hypothetical scenario. Write a query to find out all the employee names working in same department as Scott. Okay. The moment you read this question, you should be in a position to understand what is the position. Write a query to find out all the employee names working in the same department as Scott. I'm not saying the department should be 10. I'm not saying department should be 30, 20. I'm saying it should be same as Scott. So what should I do? First, I have to find out the Scott's department. Where is Scott? Where is this guy working? I have to find out. I have to find out where is this guy working. Once I have found out where is this guy working, then I have to find out in this particular department number 20 who all are working. Okay, clear? So the moment you look at this condition, you should be in a position to identify it's a direct condition or indirect condition. Okay, and I can complicate this question still further. How can I complicate this question? I can also start asking. What can I ask? I can continue this question saying, and he should be and he should be getting a salary greater than 1000 and lesser than 3000. If I'm asking this question, how will I solve this question? Again, look at here. So what is happening? I'm having an indirect condition here. Try to understand. I'm having a indirect condition. Then I'm having a direct condition. So this question itself is a combination of direct and indirect. This question itself is a combination of direct and indirect. How do you solve this question? Try to understand. Select ename from EMP where let's do the direct condition first. Salary greater than 1000 and salary lesser than 3000 and department number is equal to select department number from EMP where ename is equal to Scott. So what is happening? Let's understand this query first. This is a direct condition. This is a indirect condition. Okay. So this piece is your direct. This piece is your indirect. Got it? So this query is a combination of your subquery and your normal conditions also. Got it? So how will the execution start? The innermost query will get executed. This value will be replaced. Then the outer query execution starts. Got it? Hopefully this should clarify the understanding of subqueries. Now here what am I doing? In all these cases I'm using the table, same table. So what I can do, the same subquery we can use it in across multiple tables. I'll just give you a simple example. Write a query to find out all the employee names working in New York. If this is the question, if you look at here, the New York value is present where? Here. Okay. An employee name is present here. So how will you solve this question? It's an indirect condition. How are you going to solve? Select E name from EMP where department number is equal to select department number from EMP where location is equal to New York. Where location is equal to New York. Where location is equal to New York. So what is happening here? Try to understand. The intention of this question is what? All the employee names who are working in New York. Where is this New York located? It is located here. Okay. Now what is the foreign key common column between the two tables? Department number. Okay. This department number is coming from which table? Department table. This department number is coming from which table? EMP table. So what are you going to do? First you are going to find out the department number of New York. Once you have find out the department number of New York, I'm going to push that value to my outer query. So from that outer query, I'm going to fetch the employee names. So basically the rationale is I'm going to fetch the department number of New York. So if I find out the department number of New York, it's as good as finding out all the employees of New York. Right? If the department of New York is 10, if I find out all the employees working in 10, it's as good as finding out all the employees who are working in New York, right? So these types of subqueries where we are using multiple tables, okay, based on the concept of foreign key, okay, is called as subquery spanning more than one table. What is it called as? It is called as subquery spanning more than one table. Subquery spanning more than one table. Subquery spanning more than one. Why is it called as spanning more than one table? Because up till now in the subquery we used to use only one table. Now we are accessing data across multiple tables. Okay, but we are using the common column concept. The common column concept is nothing but your foreign key. Okay, like we discussed yesterday. Okay, so you have your indirect condition on the same table and across multiple tables. Okay, so all these things you should be in a position to understand, judge, looking at the question. How do you start doing it? Only by understanding the data points. If you understand the data points properly, you can understand the question properly. Once you understand the question properly, you can solve it very easily. Got it? Clear? Always the first rule of any data analyst is what? First you have to understand the data. Forget your queries, SQL, Python, all these things. The first thing is you have to understand the data, understand the contents of the data. When I'm saying understand the contents of the data, I'm not asking you to go each record by record and start understanding. That's not the question. That's not the ask. The ask is you should understand the contents of the data on a very high level. So that will enable you to understand the question. Once you understand the question, it's all about applying the concepts. Hopefully this is clear and you have understood subqueries. Okay. Then we are going to solve much more complex questions on the same topics. Okay. Thank you.